Guess we're recording now.
Are you there, Sam? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Sam, I'm knowing, bro. There's
All right.
only two of us today.
Only two of us today. Our tour got sick. Was it the flu or like food poisoning?
I don't know. All he told me was stomach problems.
Uh,
With our tour, it's best to leave it at that.
oh man, did he go out for Halloween?
Definitely not. He's a homebody.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
Yeah, right?
We're the same person.
I know you wanted to record yesterday, but I was in no shape to record yesterday.
Did you go out on Halloween?
I went out on Halloween.
Yeah. How was that? Was it a 70s party?
Bro, 70s party, and I rolled my ankle.
Nick.
I legit walked off a curb onto the road, and my ankle just
Were you wearing the roller skates?
I wish. No, bro, I was in new shoes too. It was so bad.
There's your problem. You got to break a man.
It still hurts. Oh man.
So, no our tour. JJ's at work.
JJ's at work. Talkies Netcast episode 3 with Sam and Nick.
That's it.
Ridiculous, eh?
Yeah, it's okay. I think we'll pull through. We have some interesting topics anyway for today.
It'll be a nice casual episode.
Yeah.
Eh?
Although you're probably going to be the thumbnail now.
Oh Jesus!
You know
Hold
how
on.
usually it's our tour?
Let me give you a good face.
There you go. Wait. You have to do it because I think it's gonna split screen when they capture it. So you got to do that, and then I got to be smiling as well.
Okay. Here, ready? There. There's
yeah, that should be enough. Okay.
It's gonna be you. It's gonna be you in the future editing this, being like, "Oh fuck, there's the face."
That's I'm looking for it. That's my time marker.
Oh, Sam, what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about. Well, first off, we wanted to talk about the Film Brats, which is Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg,
Coppola.
And Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk about that and the reason why I had that idea is because I'm just off from seeing The Irishman.
I still haven't seen it. Here, you know what? Here, how about this? Quick review of The Irishman. Quick couple-minute review of The Irishman before it goes up on the site. Mm-hmm. Then Film Brats, and then maybe that'll lead into the Scorsese, Coppola, Marvel Studios controversy stuff. Quick talk on that. The thing with that is I have not published, I think, anything above one article on that whole story because it's so annoying to me.
Yeah, I don't know how I heard about it either because I get all my movie news from you.
I know, you see all these trades and news sites posting, oh, Scorsese said this, Coppola said this, Marvel said this, and it's just none of it actually matters. They're just movies. But we'll briefly talk about that as well. But Sam, you wanna just quickly review The Irishman?
Yeah, so pretty much all the titans of their trade. You have Martin Scorsese, who's 100 years old, pretty much.
Probably. I think they all are.
I think he's 76, I want to say. I was talking to a guy at the screening, 76.
Was it a packed screening? You saw it at the Lightbox, right?
I saw it at the Lightbox. It was a press screening at 10 a.m. on a Friday, so you never really get a lot of people. There was probably about 30, 40 people, if.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so not too bad. All same faces that you always see at these things. So Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa, who was by far probably the best performance and the most rounded one in terms of having to showcase more emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we have? Joe Pesci.
This was his first film role in I don't know how many years.
Since his last Scorsese film.
He retired in 1997, and then I think he did 2 cameo roles since then. And I don't know what convinced him to come out for this one. But I think it was De Niro. It was De Niro that convinced him to come out because Scorsese met with Joe Pesci and Pesci apparently said something along the lines of don't let me talk to Bobby because I know he's gonna convince me to do the movie. And Scorsese was like, no, 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 relax, don't worry about it. And then he met with De Niro.
Yeah, like it had to be. They had to make at least one more. I think this is probably their last big collaboration, just because they're so old.
Well, Pacino was never been in a Scorsese movie, right? Like this is, I think, his first one.
Yeah, Pacino's always been in like Brian De Palma with Scarface. That was De Palma, right?
Was that De Palma?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I'm gonna look that up right now.
Look that up. You can fact check me. I'm always wrong.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure it was De Palma.
Well, I know he's been in like crime, like he's been in a ton of crime movies before, but I
Francis Ford Coppola, that's where he really got his name, right?
unfriggin' believable he did Scarface. I
Brian
had
De
no
Palma has
idea.
some hitters, man. He did the original Mission Impossible.
He did the okay. I knew he did the Untouchables. That one is a classic.
Yeah, that's it. Historically, super inaccurate. Very entertaining to watch, though.
Not even just as long as they got Al Capone in the end, who's played by De Niro. Like, oh my God, Sean Connery. That's right.
Yeah, he was like the inspector.
I'm still discovering the Untouchables, and yet I picked it as my favorite De Palma movie.
Really?
Yeah, because I did like when we'll talk about I picked 5 movies from all 5 of the directors we chose. Like
This is why I appreciate you on the podcast. One, because you have unwavering support and you just let me do what I want.
yeah, because I don't want to do it.
And two, because you're prepared.
Yeah. Um okay, actual question. Did you feel that The Irishman was long? Because I know a lot of people have been going a little back and forth. Like it's 3.5 hours, right? And I know
Three and a
like
half.
Avengers Endgame was 3 hours, right? So you can probably trust audiences, but there's still a group of people who let's say are like, oh my God, movies are too long, like they shouldn't be like
Bro, these are the same people that think that Godfather Part 2 is too long and boring. Like,
it it outshines The Godfather in certain aspects, even though I prefer Godfather 1.
you didn't even see The Irishman, though.
No, no, no. I'm saying Godfather 2 and Godfather 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I know I
yeah.
didn't see The Irishman, Sam. Thank you. I couldn't go.
I'm so glad you and JJ couldn't go.
Um,
What's the
what
deal with that? Can more than one of us go to these things? Yeah, right?
depends on the studio. So Disney usually keeps it to one. Warner
Yeah.
Brothers and Universal, because they host their screenings at night, usually will bring a guest.
Mhm.
Netflix, this is the first time Netflix is doing it like this. They throughout the year and a half we've been like working with Netflix, they've always just sent us screeners.
Mhm.
Netflix has been
Yeah.
amazing. Actually provided us with a Netflix account. Like it's actually unreal. Like to watch and review their stuff, right?
Yeah. They
But
weren't
now
taking any chances with this one. I heard they weren't
they
sending screeners.
but they're not doing it for any of their major films. Like they have like 3 or 4 films that they're pushing for the Academy Awards,
Mhm.
like The Irishman, Dolomite Is My Name with Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
um, Marriage Story with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, and then there's another one that I can't remember, The Two Popes, with Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce. Like all of them are getting TIFF Lightbox screenings. They're not doing online screeners. So
Mhm.
it makes it, I guess, a little bit tougher now, right? Because they're doing the Disney thing. They're hosting these screenings like at awkward times, like in the mornings to, like not do it with the public, which is smart. Sorry if
Yeah.
Netflix is pissed off about that. Sam, maybe cut that out. I don't know. Whatever.
I think they're doing it for another reason too. One, these are serious films. These aren't,
Yeah.
and I don't want to bag on Netflix because they've really turned it around in terms of the quality of their content.
Some of their movies, it's a little hit or miss.
Little
Like,
suspect, yeah, but it's like
well,
it's like anyone.
yeah, but the thing is now Netflix is really pushing to be taken more seriously, which they
As a
should.
studio.
Like I
Yeah,
mean, you don't just pull in Scorsese for a movie and get laughed at. Like The Irishman is being called like Scorsese's like a masterwork. Like
it's very good.
yeah, like it's got like a 99% rating on Rotten Tomatoes or something. Like the movies, everybody's been saying like I don't know how Scorsese was able to do this so late in his life, let's say. Like the fact that this was made with what was the de-aging technology like? Like did you notice it like at all?
So because Martin Scorsese is my favorite film director all time, bar none, full stop.
Wow, really?
Full stop.
Damn.
And I think I have. some sort of emotional connection with him because of our like similar life experiences. He's Sicilian American. I'm Sicilian Canadian. Uh,
Calabres, bro. Can't trust either of you, clearly. Yikes.
I don't know. I I don't comment on that stuff. And and his movies always kind of pulled at me personally, especially when he talks about his like struggles with like religion and just growing up in some sort of environment that seems like a little rougher. I never had that, but for some reason I
You've connected with it.
I just get it, like it touches me viscerally. And I also appreciate his use of framing and just composition and he's the best director, bar none, full stop, for me.
So then when you walked into this movie, like what were you expecting then? Like
I was expecting Casino and Goodfellas, a little bit of Wolf of Wall Street. I was expecting some old charm from the 60s and 70s. I was expecting big acting from Pacino and De Niro. De Niro, he wasn't underwhelming because I think the character was just more of a cold, like poker face sort of guy. He doesn't really know that much. So I during it I felt a little bit it was underwhelming on his end, but then I realized, you know what, this guy's a killer. He's
this
of
is
course
what
he's
he
gonna have
is.
ice in his veins, right?
Yeah. Like I take my orders and I do the job. Like
Yeah, it was very that came across very much like whereas in other movies of the same things, it was more about the guy's ambition.
mhm.
This one wasn't about ambition. Like what was his name? Is it Frank Sheeran? I think it's Frank Sheeran.
Frank Sheeran. Yeah, Frank Sheeran.
The way that he portrayed him, it wasn't like I started over here and then I got over here because I had the drive, I had the fire. Like when you watch Wolf of Wall Street, you saw him like
Like I want to be rich, so I'm gonna get here and I'm gonna do whatever it
exactly.
takes.
There was a little bit of that, and evidently, the whole movie it's really cool. And you asked about the de aging. I'm going to talk about it now. The whole movie, you could see him start from when he was young, and then goes until he's very old. Just how they tell the story because he's recounting the tales of his life like that, and the de aging technology it's noticeable only because Martin Scorsese is my favorite director, and I probably watch a Scorsese film like probably once a month. You
It's
know,
probably not something you would expect. Like it
you
I mean,
don't.
like the thing with this movie is that like Paramount passed on it. Probably I would estimate maybe another studio passed on it because Scorsese was unrelenting on we're going to use these actors and we're going to de-age them like in a sci-fi movie, let's say. But we're not going to put them in motion capture suits. We're gonna figure it out. I personally like I won't speak on it because I don't know the actual parameters of how he de-aged
Yeah.
Pesci, Pacino, De Niro, and all of them, right? But I found it very interesting the fact that you can always find an actor who more or less probably looks like Joe Pesci and can do a Joe Pesci, right? Like I mean, they did that in Goodfellas with the kids or something,
Yeah.
right? Like, but this one like you can tell like in the trailers a little bit like especially when he's in the war. I think like that was when I noticed it a little bit. Like did it impact your viewing of the screening in any way?
No, because it's interesting. I know what young Bob De Niro looks like.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, because I've seen him his whole career from Raging Bull to everything else, right?
Hmm.
And I know what an old Bob De Niro looks like. And so when they had him de-aged with this technology, which probably cost the film way too much money, and that's why
That
only
was the,
Netflix would take it.
that was the problem. It costs
Yeah,
$125 to make this movie.
125 million.
Million, sorry. Yeah,
Mil-
$125, bro. It was an
That's
easy
not bad.
pickup. An
We
easy
can put
pickup
that
for
down.
Netflix. Everybody worked for free. Um, yeah, no, that's why Paramount passed on it because I think Scorsese Paramount. But $125 million price tag, especially after Scorsese's last movie failed, which it shouldn't have. Silence was amazing. But
Was that his last one?
oh, I think so. 2016. Yeah, I think it's been 3 years since Scorsese dropped a movie. Like if I'm not mistaken.
I,
Um,
you know what? We're going on a tangent, but I have to point it out. I loved Silence.
I also liked Silence quite a bit. But I kind of found it like, I guess how maybe a lot of people find The Irishman. Like it's very much, it's a reflection of a person's life, right? Like, let's see here. Yeah, yeah, Silence was his last one.
Dude, that one was a
Well,
masterpiece.
okay, sorry. Technically, he did a documentary for Netflix again,
Yeah,
on
he
Bob
does.
Dylan, but I don't
He's always
I,
done a lot of those.
I don't consider that like a part of this filmography that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, Silence. And so that's the thing, right? The audiences, like film audiences have changed now. It's not the same anymore.
Has to be like
It's
that.
Yeah, it's very much, and maybe this is what Scorsese is talking about, which we'll get into later on Marvel, but audiences now are very, very finicky, I think. And we'll talk about it later. I won't talk about it now. It's just
I think that's why they're doing a theatrical. I don't know if they're doing a theatrical release, but I think that's why they're
they
doing press screenings.
they tried. Netflix desperately tried to do theatrical, and theater owners wouldn't budge because Netflix wants their movies on their platform almost instantly.
Hmm.
But theaters want films at least for 2.5 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Um, which is also like that's such a short time span for me. But when you think about literally like 1,000 movies drop every year, like it's insanity. But that's the thing. Audiences are just changing. It's why Disney has such a stronghold, and we'll get to that later.
Dude, speaking of movie brats, wasn't it like a controversy last year? Spielberg saying that Netflix movies can't get
Yeah.
accredited at the Oscars.
Yeah, Spielberg was very much like audiences if you because he worded it poorly, but his message was there. The theater experience is dying, and Spielberg knows it, and he's worried because Netflix, which also I don't understand because Spielberg has signed with Apple TV Plus to I think create projects with them, but I don't think he's of course the money obviously. Spielberg's my favorite director,
I know
but
that.
the
Yeah.
way the way he came across was Netflix shouldn't be considered for the Oscars because the Oscars are theater movies, right? But all he was trying to say, I think, was the theater experience is dying. Netflix is capitalizing on it, and we can't let the theater die because it's true. At least for me, movies are an event.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
I would say specific movies are more of an event than others. Like I'm going to Avengers Endgame, let's say, that's a 10-year event. That's an event. Or I'm gonna go see let's see here. The new Star I guess this is all Disney stuff. Or I'm gonna go see like I would go see Silence. Like I saw Silence in the theater,
I
right?
did.
Silence was
And I
the new
regret.
Scorsese movie. That's an event.
Yeah.
You're going out, you're getting the popcorn, you're gonna sit there, you want to feel immersed. But
Yeah.
it's dying. It's
Yeah.
and I maybe it's not. I don't know. Joker just made $900 million at the box office, right? Worldwide without China. So maybe it's not dying, but audiences are definitely gravitating towards different stuff.
Dude, when I went to the theater to see The Irishman, a lady had sat down. She put down her bag, and we just started talking, like as you do before these
Good
things.
networking. That's what I like to see.
Always not working.
We got to get business cards.
We should actually.
I
And
know.
and she was like, "Did you see Joker?" I'm like, "Yes, I hadn't. I lied, truthfully.
That's
I haven't
smart.
seen it
Um,
yet."
that
And
lady's gonna
and
watch
she's
us now, and she's gonna be like, "That son of a bitch."
yeah, okay. If she does, she was a very nice lady. I didn't remember her name if I got it, but she
If
was
she watches this.
she was talking about what's it called? The Lighthouse. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I saw the lighthouse.
You actually watched it?
Yeah.
Did you see it at TIFF?
No. No, it's
Oh,
in theaters now.
the Lighthouse is in theaters?
Yeah.
Dude, I tried to find it. It was only like for 2 days. It was like a Thursday. It was on. But anyway, that's not the point. She was talking about the Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson,
Yeah.
and she's like, the Joker was good. You saw the Joker, right? I'm like, yes, I lied. And she said, well, the Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe's performance blows Joaquin Phoenix's performance out of the water. Not even close. She's like, I want to see Joaquin Phoenix win an Oscar because he's been in it for so long, but Willem Dafoe just completely destroys it. I'm like, I need to see both those movies now.
First off, Personally, I disagree,
You can,
which
yeah.
is what the best part about movies are. I guess it's all subjective.
So what is?
Like that's probably yeah, you're right. Like, but the thing, like the Lighthouse is just a messed up experience, but so is Joker. That's why the two movies are so good. They're both viciously uncomfortable. Like, but see, I don't know what's she comparing the Lighthouse and the Joker for? They're two different movies. Like, I guess because Defoe is, but Defoe I think is gunning for best supporting actor. So I don't even think him and Phoenix are going to be competing.
Mhm.
Phoenix and Pattinson will probably be competing if Pattinson gets a nomination. Phoenix is all but guaranteed at this point, I think.
Yeah, it's just too successful of a movie.
$900 million for
Yeah.
the Joker.
What's the record?
Oh no, the record's Endgame to 2.7 billion. But um
Before it was
nope.
Titanic, right? Previously?
Avatar? Avatar.
Avatar, yeah. It was
So
Titanic, then Avatar.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem is Disney now owns the entire top five of the box office.
Of course they do.
Because it's Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War at
Yeah.
5, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Titanic, Avatar, Avengers Endgame. All of that belongs to Disney now.
Wow.
Scorsese's not happy. But that's a tangent. That's a whole other podcast. Maybe
Dude,
it's an article. I've been meaning to write an article about that. Like I probably will. But we're probably gonna talk about it here. But
yeah.
until then,
So back to the Irishman.
back to the Irishman.
It was very good. It was all of his trademarks, especially with the all the mobster movies that he's made. It was a little more serious than the other one. You know how when you watch Goodfellas is a big hangout, more or less, right? You're hanging out with the boys, you're making pasta sugo in the prison cell, like in that safe
like
house or wherever they were.
it's very much like, dude, this is the life, man. Like we're wise guys. Like I'm having
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That was Goodfellas. Casino was even more comical because it's guys in Las Vegas and they're having a great time and they're screwing each other over and
that's
it's
a brutal
glamorous.
movie. That's a brutal movie. Like when they bury Pesci and his brother alive, like that's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. And The Irishman has a lot more of that brutality that you're talking about. It's a little more serious.
Hmm.
Um, there are lighthearted moments when they're joking around because that's just it's people, right? It's
Right.
what'd you say last time? Art reflecting life.
Yeah, or yeah.
Yeah, so it's very very much more I think a serious tone to the movie. There's a more serious tone,
Right.
and it's very good. It works. The runtime 3 hours and 50 minutes, probably not for the average moviegoer.
The Faint of Heart.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You know what? It's one of those movies where you go in, you sit for an hour, you're watching for an hour, and then you look at your watch and you say, okay, an hour's gone by. I can see how it's a little slow, how it's long and it's going to pick up. The
Okay.
second 2 hours, they just go.
Okay,
Like,
so it takes a little while to get it like for it to get going, but like do you think that first hour could be like you don't think it should be cut out, eh? Like it all flows together.
yeah, no, I like slower paced movies, and we were going to talk about the film Brats, but who knows if we'll ever get to it.
Don't
Maybe
worry, it's coming up right now.
maybe another time. Yeah, maybe not. And and I like those movies, particularly in the late 70s, early 80s, because of the pacing. It seems more it is more tense. You get to really feel the atmosphere more than just like, oh, this is whatever,
Mhm.
Avengers, Marvel, explosions in space and whatever. And
I like space.
you could see I like space too, but you could see where I stand on the whole controversy. So it's very good in establishing like this is another Scorsese movie. And maybe I was excited because I went in, I'm like, this is another Scorsese movie. And you can tell right from the beginning, right when you see De Niro as an old man and he's recounting his stories
Frank
as
Sheeran.
as the guy, the guy that goes around.
I heard you
And
paint houses.
I heard you paint houses. That's actually the film title.
Yeah. Do you know what that means?
Oh, I know what it means. I saw the
Yeah,
movie.
I had no idea what it meant. I was reading up on the original book, and it was like, I heard you paint houses, asks if you kill people for a living. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, when I said it's more brutal, like you said in Casino when they're burying the brothers, it's
Takes it
it's
up.
pretty brutal. There's a lot of killings. He's a hitman, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for this movie.
It's a very good movie. It probably won't do well for the average moviegoer, but it's on Netflix, so it doesn't matter. People can just stop it whenever they want and pick it back up like a mini
But
series.
that's why I think Netflix is viable. Like, yeah, maybe somebody won't be able to sit through all 3.5 hours in one sitting, but they'll get through it, and
Yeah.
Netflix allows for that. Like, because I mean, okay, so Sam texted me like, "Did you have any problems with your bag?" By the way, at the
Ne-
screening.
Never do, no.
Cool. Sam, I'm gonna just expose a little bit. Sam came to me and he goes, "Bro, this is a 3.5 hour movie. You think they'll be mad like if I eat or something?" Like, I'm like, no, who cares? Like, I think it's a good thing that it ended up on Netflix, but
I think so.
because for that price tag, nobody was gonna ever pick it up. Current
Right.
modern day audiences will not sit through it, and that sucks.
You know what though? I think, and this might be bold, but I think because of the draw, because of the cast, it appeals to a different market than the young, I want to go see Thanos blow up the universe.
100%.
Because Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, for the past like 40 years, has been one of the biggest directors in Hollywood.
Agreed.
So I think like our parents' generation and even a bit older, they can appreciate that and they would sit for a longer thing, a
Yeah.
longer runtime.
But I think you're right because this movie has a long runtime, but it's not the same as like Avengers Endgame's long runtime, where that movie was very much here's the first hour, here's the second hour, here's the third hour, and there is something happening at almost I would say 2 hours and 40 minutes of everything with about 20 minutes of slowdown.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like it's still a sequel and you know what they're trying to do, but The Irishman is one movie, one long movie of a guy's life where he is just reliving all of everything that's happened to him, that everything that he's been a part of. Jimmy
Mm-hmm.
Hoffa, right? Like,
Al Pacino was phenomenal.
oh
I
yeah,
didn't even get into the performances. Al Pacino, the way that he takes on this character, he also has like some accent. I don't know where Jimmy Hoffa was from, but I wasn't paying too much attention to that. But he takes on this accent that you don't usually hear Al Pacino take on, and
hmm
it wasn't distracting. It was just I was admiring it the whole time, and his ability to emote, just he would explode, and he was so electric. It was really good. It was phenomenal on his part. Joe,
Hoffa is from Indiana.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not where I
okay,
would have picked it.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Okay.
sounds like he's from Indiana.
I
Makes
can.
sense.
It sounded at times a little bit more like Midwest, like almost Chicago area.
Okay, so there you go, Indiana.
Yeah.
That's got to be near Illinois,
I don't know.
I
I'm so
think.
bad at the U.S. geography. I thought
Okay,
Indiana was like below Philadelphia, like around that area.
is it?
It's a little more inland of Philadelphia, a little bit lower, I think.
I want you to put in the title of this podcast The Irishman Review and two guys trying to figure out where Indiana is in the States.
I had a friend who went to Notre Dame in Indiana.
Okay, hold on. I got it. So it's New York,
Yeah,
Pennsylvania,
yeah,
Ohio,
yeah.
Indiana, Illinois.
Okay, so I was almost there.
So you're close.
I was a couple states over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his accent was phenomenal. His acting was phenomenal. Joe Pesci, he's he's really old though. Like Joe Pesci seems the oldest out of all of them
I think he is.
in real life, but just in his character and his attitude. Like if you see him in not reviews, what are they called? Interviews.
Yeah.
You could tell he doesn't want to be there.
No, he's tired.
Yeah,
But
he's tired. He's old, man. Like he's almost 80 years old.
yeah.
And in the movie, I thought he did a good job when they made him young. Like it was pretty impressive. When you see him, you're like, oh, that's the Joe Pesci that you remember. And then he gets older. They age progressively throughout the film, so you can see like a little less of the aging technology, which I think helps when they're really young. Not really young, but I think like they're supposed to be about 40-ish.
Okay.
Maybe a little younger. When they're younger, it's noticeable, but it's not for a long time. And I only say it's noticeable just because I know what young Bob De Niro looks like. I know what young Joe Pesci looks like.
Right.
It's hard to give. It's because when you get older, right, you lose your muscle mass and your face is it gets a little thinner in some cases.
Right.
And so you can tell that they did that stuff with it, but it wasn't distracting because it wasn't for very long when they had them at like their extreme youngest in the film, because then they gradually progress, and it's actually nice the way that they age because they age rather naturally, I would think.
Yeah, like it's not a massive jump and it's not super noticeable. Everything kind of
Exactly.
It's a natural progression.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like putting the tortoise in a lukewarm pot and then boiling it, so he doesn't notice that he's being boiled, you know.
Right.
Whereas if you put him in the hot water, he would jump.
So overall, in terms of
Overall, it has all the DNA that a Martin Scorsese film has because it is. It is a very good movie. Is it better than, say, Casino or Goodfellas? I think that's not for me to decide, unfortunately. I think it is very good. I really loved it because my favorite actors, my favorite director, all together again. They got the band back together again, you know?
right.
So very good. I would tell everyone that they should go watch it, especially if they're a fan of these guys and their careers.
And to read the review on Talkies Network.
And to read the review, which one do you want it by? Because I haven't started that.
I honestly I don't know when sooner rather than later. I don't even know when this movie comes out.
It comes out in like a month.
What? Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure it comes out at like the end of November.
Oh, let me see here. It comes out. My God, the budget was 159 million. Holy. When does this? Oh, hold on. When does it drop on Netflix? That's what I want to know. I can't even find it. The Irishman on Netflix. Let's see. Oh, it's showing at the Lightbox. Okay, so it's technically in theaters now, and end of the month. Okay, fine. So get it to me before like the 20th.
Perfect. That's fine.
But go support this movie in theaters, Toronto. Okay, it's playing at the Lightbox, so you can go see it right now. You don't have to wait till it comes out on Netflix. The Lightbox is.
I would see it in theaters because it is an experience.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's really good. And I think a part of the movie going experience, like you're saying, it is an event. When you go see a movie, you sit down, you get comfortable. You're in that atmosphere of pretty much movie lovers.
Like I'm not going like. It's a time. You're buying the popcorn, you're buying your drink, you're sitting down. Maybe everything is too expensive. I think so. Right? But it's a time. It's an event. And you're going to the movies because you chose to go see there. You didn't just sit on your couch and say, oh, maybe I'll flip this on in the background.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think a lot of people too, not to harp on Netflix again, when they're watching Netflix, it's more casual. They're on their phones half the time. They're not paying attention. Yeah, that would anger me as a filmmaker if I knew that people
That's the thing. That's why a lot of people don't like the streaming experience. But I mean, if Scorsese's backing it, then what are you going to say?
Scorsese's smart. That's why he knows that this is where the people are. This is how the media gets consumed.
Right. So he's evolving. Is Spielberg evolving?
Look, if you can evolve at 80 years old, you did something well. You know.
Exactly, because he
knows his stuff.
All right, Sam, where are we at here?
We concluded that Irishman review. Go watch it. It's a great movie. Support it.
Now, if you want to do a whole talk, like if you want to do the Film Brats, like I don't think I have a lot to say about De Palma and let's say like certain directors, but like I have 5 movies here that we can talk about. I know you have too.
How many directors did you cover with this?
I covered the 5. I covered
all
Scorsese.
5?
I covered Scorsese, Coppola, De Palma, Lucas, and Spielberg.
Okay.
But I have more to say about certain ones than others. Like what?
How how many movies from each?
5.
You did,
Only,
so you have 25 movies
no,
overall?
no, 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 no. Sorry, no. I just have my favorite movie from each director.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay, but
talk about
so
it,
okay,
sure.
so look, the film brats came from this era of new Hollywood. They all came up together, but we selected 5 that seem close to each other. So it's Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Brian De Palma, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg.
Those were the guys.
Those were the guys. That was
Those were
the
the
group,
guys.
I
Michael
think.
Cimino was also in there, I would like to say. But
Yeah.
far and wide, and I think you can also put, I want to say James Cameron.
I
But
would argue Cameron could be a part of that
he
group.
might have been a little bit later, though.
But see, that's the thing. You could argue James Cameron, John Carpenter, like you can
John Carpenter,
argue
yeah, that one gets thrown around a
John
lot.
Landis, Kubrick but Kubrick kind of
Kubrick
kept to
was
himself.
well before, though. In fact,
Yeah,
I read this before we got on. One guy brought up a good point saying that Kubrick pretty much inspired a lot of these guys.
it definitely,
Yeah,
100%. But we stuck to the 5.
we stuck
Now,
with 5.
I just chose my favorite movies to briefly talk about from each. So I can start with the ones I'll probably talk about the least. Brian De Palma is, I think, a great director, but out of all of them, I think he has the most hits and misses. My
Brian?
favorite, what were you going to say?
No, no, you can go. What's your favorite Brian De Palma?
It is The Untouchables because
Okay.
I love crime movies and I love it. The thing is you look at these movies and you're like, oh, well, this didn't happen the same way. This didn't happen the same way. And I guess I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I
Hmm.
very much harped on, oh, what's that movie called? Bohemian Rhapsody for, in my opinion, butchering the career of Freddie Mercury.
Hmm.
But The Untouchables takes several um, historical liberties with the team that brought down Al Capone,
Several.
but it's just so good.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Costner as Elliot Ness, you can tell he's pushing, and you can tell it does get to him,
Hmm.
but he's very much this like we got to bring this guy down. It has to happen.
Hmm.
And then that end line where he's like, I think I'll have a drink. Like he can finally just sit back, relax. Sean Connery as Jimmy Malone, fantastic performance. I always forget that De Niro is in it as Al Capone.
Of course, he
The
would
score,
too, right?
right? Because why not? He's like, oh man, I haven't played this crime boss, so why wouldn't I? Ennio Morricone's score, phenomenal, one of his best. Um, I think Connery won an Academy Award for this one, um, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, it's just like your classic gangster film. Like it's got everything you need. It's got De Niro in a crime role. It's got a top-notch cast. The way De Palma directs the film, like he gives Chicago like this very sharp look, even though it's still like a grimier time,
Hmm.
right? Uh, I like it's vulgar, it's violent, but it's the cinematography is just breathtaking to me.
Yeah.
But out of all of them, I probably fall De Palma the least. Like I unfortunately I've probably only watched maybe 2 or 3 De Palma films. That Mission Impossible and oh,
Scarface.
what's the other one? Um,
Scarface.
I've seen Carrie too. Oh, and
Oh, true.
Scarface. So 4,
Scarface. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But out of all of them, it's definitely The Untouchables.
It's interesting. So the probably for our generation, the biggest influence on anyone who's trying to make films right now is Quentin Tarantino, and that may be like a weird thing because you can't be it, but you see a lot of like student pictures that are trying to be Tarantino,
I think so
and they
because
never
of the
will
way
be.
he directs and the way he does dialogue. Like it appeals.
It's so unique. But one of Tarantino's biggest influences was actually Brian De Palma.
This I knew.
Yeah, he talks so highly about it, and
Yeah.
he's one of the heavy. He was probably one of the more successful ones in like their earlier careers of all these guys.
De Palma 100%.
Yeah, and
Arguably one of the most.
Scarface was a classic. Everyone knows Scarface. Al
Well, think
Pacino.
about it. Carrie, Dress to Kill, Scarface, Untouchables, Mission Impossible. That was within a 10-year time span. De Palma was on top,
Yeah,
almost,
for
I would
sure,
argue.
For sure. You ever see Snake Eyes?
I have not.
Snake Eyes. So Nicolas Cage, the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, his last name is actually Coppola. Nicolas Cage plays like some sort of Las Vegas detective or police officer,
Mm-hmm.
and a murder happens and a conspiracy happens in a boxing match. So they lock down the arena. I think it's at the MGM Grand. I don't know.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenal movie. Brian De Palma, Snake Eyes with Nick Cage.
Is that what you're picking for your favorite?
My favorite Brian De Palma, it's definitely the most recent one I've seen. Um, it's really good. Nick Cage is hilarious in it because
It's
I'm
Snake
not
Eyes.
I'm not in Snake Eyes. I'm not even convinced that he's acting. Like
He's just being Nicolas Cage.
he's being Nick Cage. Yeah.
Oh, okay, respect. I wouldn't know. I figured you would have picked like Scarface or something.
Yeah, my movie tastes usually are a little bit pedestrian, but I think this one was just it was like niche enough to where if you're a Nick Cage fan, you're a cinema fan, and you like Brian De Palma,
Right.
it's a good one.
Okay.
Who was
Now,
your second?
because we talked about Scorsese, I want to know what your favorite Scorsese movie is.
Um, I can gladly say I have watched most of his movies. I won't say all of them because I haven't seen
Me
some
too.
documentaries. And I haven't seen Cape Fear either for some reason.
No way. Are you serious?
I never got around to seeing it, but I saw obviously Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, Goodfellas. Like these are all big hitter movies that he's
Mhm.
made. Last Temptation of Christ. Um, Obviously, we talked about Silence. The thing with Scorsese is I don't know if I can I
Pick
don't know
one.
if I can choose.
He's your guy. That's it.
Yeah, he's my guy. It's a choice paralysis sort of thing. Let's see. The King of Comedy, which influenced the biggest movie of today, was pretty good.
Yeah, true. Yeah, with Joker, you're right. That and Taxi Driver.
The Wolf of Wall Street was like the biggest movie for like 5 years amongst young male audiences for sure.
I think people misinterpret that movie quite a bit.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Really quick,
Yeah.
because okay, personally, favorite Scorsese movie is Goodfellas, but The Wolf of Wall Street I think ranks at number 3 for me. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? It's not Goodfellas. It's The Departed, actually. Goodfellas is number
Mm,
2. The
I forgot
Departed
that.
is Are You a Cop? Like just a classic.
Yeah.
Um,
You cop?
the Wolf of Wall Street, I think a lot of people took that and was like, this guy's got the life. This is everything I've ever wanted. He's got Margot Robbie. And I think Scorsese very much was attacking that hyper masculine feel. Like he was very much like, this is not what you want.
He's
Because
always done that.
100%,
Always done that.
that's why I love Scorsese. But a
He
lot of,
glamorizes the life and then he tears it down for you.
because the life is glamorous. Like you're like, this guy's got it. He's making money a little under the table, sure, whatever. He's doing private jets. He's having like he's getting all these girls. It's insane. He's got Margot Robbie, but it was the same thing with Goodfellas. He's
It's
a
the same
wise
thing
guy,
with
and
everything.
then it just starts spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
Everything's always spirals in these lives. Like
Yeah.
you always see on Twitter or on Instagram, like those like stupid quote pictures, and then it's a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio as Jordan Belfort, and you're like, this is not somebody to look up to. This is never somebody to look up to. If you do, congrats. You're probably gonna be a coke addicted maniac one day. Like it's insane. But personally, yeah, The Departed is what ranks number 1 for me.
The Departed. Yeah, The Wolf
It's
of Wall Street was something that it was such a big phenomenon when it happened. It was
yeah,
probably like I don't know about the financial success,
no, total success.
but it was probably one of his most like financially successful and just
I think
appealing movies to general audiences.
if I'm not mistaken, it's his highest grossing movie. I think it cracked 400 million.
Oh my gosh, Shutter Island.
392 million.
Okay.
Shutter Island is an underrated classic.
I'm not a horror guy, and you know this,
I do know this.
but I do like the occasional psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And Shutter Island messed me up for a couple of days.
Yeah.
It was so good. Leonardo DiCaprio at his best always. Inception, dude.
But that's the thing. DiCaprio is just good in everything. But in the
Oh my
like
gosh.
The Departed for me, like when it's the two sides of the same coin. It's Damon and DiCaprio, like both infiltrating each other's operations, like and not knowing it. That was crazy.
Dude.
Mark Wahlberg, Boston, all of Boston. I know, DiCaprio.
Dude. Gangs of New York.
Yeah, I unequivocally love Gangs of New York, even though it's never ranked highly.
Gangs of New York, man. Bill the Butcher. Okay, one. Okay, I'm gonna.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to stop and talk about how good, because I know it doesn't happen enough. How good Daniel Day-Lewis is as Bill the Butcher.
Go ahead. You have a few. You have. I'm going to give you a couple minutes here to go off.
That guy's a chameleon. That's the only thing that needs to be said. Whether it's Gangs of New York, whether he plays Abraham Lincoln, whether he plays Christy Brown in My Left Foot.
It's
Have you ever seen
incredible
The
how
Boxer?
he's only done like a handful of films.
But rightfully so.
Yeah, because he's
That's
that good.
yeah. That's what what's his name always used to say, that you shouldn't do a lot of movies. I
Oh,
hate that I'm blanking on it.
what's he been in?
Marlon Brando. I shouldn't even. I'm
Is it
gonna
is
go
it
cry now.
is
Yeah,
it Brand? Oh,
Brando used to always say you shouldn't be in too many, because you can't extend yourself like that emotionally, because you just
okay.
can't.
Right.
And have you seen The Boxer?
I have not.
Watch The Boxer.
Who's that with?
I don't know who directed it, but it's with Day Lewis.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, Daniel Day Lewis is the lead, and he's a guy who was like a part of the IRA, but not really, like loosely, who
Okay.
got out of jail, and he starts like a boxing club in his hometown, and that causes trouble because it's both Protestant and Catholic mix in like the 1980s Northern Ireland.
Okay.
That is such a thoughtful movie, and he is so good in it. Like,
I did not even know he was in this.
watch The Boxer. I think it's one of his earlier ones.
It is 1997. Wow. You
Casino,
know he's
H.
retired now, eh?
Yeah, he's retired, but he'll be back for like one more.
Yeah, he'll pull a Joe Pesci. 20 years
He'll
later.
pull it himself, because he did it before.
Did he retire before?
Yeah, he retires all the time. He became a shoemaker in like Italy, in like some secluded part of Italy.
Oh my God, yeah, he was gone for acting for. Wow, you're right. Unbelievable. After The Boxer, he retired.
Hmm.
His exact whereabouts were not publicly known for 3 years.
Yeah, he went missing in like Italy, becoming a cobbler. He became an expert cobbler.
And then he came back for Gangs of New York.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
think you have to kind of do that as an actor.
Just get away for a bit.
Well, so when you say life reflecting art, it's not that you're reflecting, or art reflecting life, sorry. It's not that you're reflecting life. You're actually living it. When you're acting, you're tapping into your own emotional life.
Right.
So to keep on having to read through scripts and then bang out like what The Rock does. What The Rock does isn't acting. He plays.
Personally, I don't mind The Rock when he's given a good script.
The problem with The Rock is he makes like 20 movies a year. Who does that? Like,
Like The Rock, okay, here's where I think The Rock really hit it big and how it's sort of gone downhill.
mhm.
Personally, The Rock is one of my favorite people in Hollywood because I just think the guy is an all-around superstar.
Yeah.
But when The Rock did Fast Five, I think that is still unequivocally his best performance because it allowed him to very much step out of that typecasting role. He's still the tough, badass bad guy, let's say, but it's just different the way he approaches it. It's more raw. He's able to let loose.
Hmm.
Now, The Rock, I think, has done 4 or 5 jungle-based movies. He's done Journey to Mysterious Island, Jumanji, He did Rampage. He's got Jumanji 2 coming, and now he's got Disney's Jungle Cruise, which personally I'm excited for because of Emily Blunt and him together would be a great pairing. But you're right. The Rock has done the same 5 jungle movies and the same 6 action movies. Skyscraper, like,
My
it's just Die Hard in China.
my my gripe with it is that when you're reading scripts all day, you're not tapping into your own emotions. So you can't have you can, but it's probably a lot harder. And you definitely see the ones who are more thoughtful with their script reviewing processes. You can't really reflect or you can't really live your own emotions because you don't have any, because you've been on set for the past like 7 years of your life every day. So that's why I think Daniel Day-Lewis, he's very smart, and 2, he's very successful because he's able to tap into his emotional keys and use it.
Gangs of New York was absurd.
Gangs of New York, Goodfellas, Last Temptation of Christ, The Color of Money.
I like The Color of Money.
The Color of Money is so good.
Yeah. Okay,
Young
pick
Tom
one though.
Cruise.
Pick one that you watch above the rest.
One that oh my God.
Before going on to Francis Ford Coppola.
Excuse me. Taxi Driver.
Is it Taxi Driver? That was
Hold
his
on.
first, was that his first one or was it Mean Streets? Which one came first?
Mean
think it was Mean
Streets in
Streets.
73, Taxi Driver in 76.
Yeah, okay, so Mean Streets came first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Mean Streets?
Not for a number of years.
Yeah, it's very good, and it's legitimately like you can see every other movie he's done in Mean Streets, especially when you talk about like the macho charisma mentality, the mob mentality, the sort of crime underworld. It's amazing. It's so good. So Taxi Driver was also kind of whack. Like,
Pick one.
if I were to pick one, I'm gonna say it was Hugo.
Really?
No.
What an out. I loved Hugo. Don't do that.
I liked Hugo as well. A lot of people gave it a bad rap, but it was very good. If you're gonna say one Scorsese movie, I think it kind of has to be Goodfellas.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
just in terms of like its broad reachability.
It's got Joe Pesci, it's got De Niro, it's got the crime, it's got everything he glamorizes and also attacks in the mob life. For me, that's what he does in The Departed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
We're gonna definitely talk about these guys, all of these directors throughout the rest of this podcast series.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Artur's take on it because he has like different tastes than us.
100%. Like, okay, I think Francis Ford Coppola is probably the easiest one to pick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming you also picked the first Godfather.
I like the second one better than the first one.
Get out of town.
Yeah. I think it's also because the second one is on TV more.
Oh, true.
So I always see it.
See, for me, the first Godfather. Okay, my favorite character in that entire series is Sonny. So that's why I always hold the first Godfather above the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that movie, it's one of the movies that I'll say is objectively perfect. Probably that, and like The Godfather, I think ranks at number 5 for me in my all-time favorites list. Like my number 1 favorite movie comes from another director that we're going to talk about. But this movie, first off, just the way it opens, how it just kind of lingers around Brando, like, and you just hear the other guy talking, and he's trying to explain to Brand or what's Vito saying. Listen, I need you to come through. I need you to do this for my daughter, and you can tell like he's playing hardball, but a Sicilian, I guess, never says no on the day of his daughter's wedding, right? Like they're Sicilian, right? That's the idea. Or The Godfather never says no on the day of his daughter's wedding. Just the way Michael's descent into this crew and how Sonny tries his best, how Kay is on the sidelines, because I very much view Kay as like an audience character, how we're kind of seeing everything like from the sidelines almost.
Yeah.
Whenever she's around. Like that's definitely how somebody would feel. You're watching this guy fall further and further into this thing that he goes, I'm never going to do this. I am not like them. I still love my family, but I can't fall into this. And then
Yeah.
by the end of it, he's getting dressed, he's getting kissed on the hand, the doors are shut, and that's it. Michael's gone.
Scorsese did a good job at that in Goodfellas as well,
100%.
shifting the narrator perspective to, I think her name is Carol or
Karen.
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 But when he shifted the perspective from Ray Liotta's character to her, it changed the whole game, because the whole movie he was narrating, like, ever since I was a young kid, I always wanted to be a gangster. When
Exactly. And you're like, yo, the gangster lifestyle, man. That
when
is
she,
it.
when you get her perspective, I think that's what makes that movie, like, just it sets it over the edge. It is like the masterpiece it is, because, and I use that word probably too liberally, but
What are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do? And when she's talking about like how she's experiencing going into that world, like seeing the wives of all these guys and her experience with it all, and then you see
Exactly.
her descent into like the crazy with him.
That's why I love The Godfather.
Yeah,
It's exactly that. Because as soon as you start seeing stuff from Kay's perspective, it's almost like Coppola flips the script. It's like you see all these family meetings, you see Michael, like from Michael's perspective, I'm sticking up for my dad, I'm sticking up for my brother, here we go. As soon as Kay comes back in the picture, you're like, no, this is horrible. How could a family live like this? How could you constantly live under the fear? And you're always kind of a little on edge in The Godfather because of, especially after Sonny's death. You
mm-hmm.
know it's just not the same anymore. Vito dies. Michael's taking over. Michael's wiping out the rest of the families in New York. He's uprooting the whole family to Vegas now. It's when he kills Mo Green. It's just this constant uneasiness that is just played throughout because you know eventually Michael will descend. He's gone.
His descent into that is crazy
He
too, because
there was
he was the war hero. He was like the senator.
there was no saving him from this, especially with what's the Frito, fucking Frito, man,
Fredo,
like
I know it was you, Fredo.
oh my god, you broke my heart. Like that's why I also love the second one, especially like all that stuff when he kills Frito, nuts. Also, De Niro is the best part in the second one, I think.
I wanna I wanna just on that note, while we're talking about Fredo, I want to give that guy a shout out, because I think a lot. His name was John Cazale, Cazale. He
He
is in.
died young.
He did die young, and he's one of those forgotten actors just because the other guys are 100 years old and they've been in everything. But he was in pretty much every movie that those other guys were with all of these directors, the movie brat directors. Like he was in The Godfather, he was in Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. He was in so many movies, and it just gets forgotten. So John Cazale, like, shout
Do
out
you
to
know?
you.
Do you know that every movie that guy was in got nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah, because the guy was a beauty.
Every single one. Dog Day Afternoon, Godfather 1 and 2, Deer Hunter. There's one more I'm forgetting. He was in 5 movies. Do you have it up? It's
I have. Hold on, let me see
the Conversation. The Conversation.
the
That's it.
conversation.
All 5 of his movies got nominated for Best Picture.
And he was good, and he had this. I don't know if I'm using eclectic properly, but he had like this look about him.
He was always crazy. There was always something
Yeah,
about him.
yeah, he has such a unique face,
Yeah.
and it made the movies, and it made them real too, because it wasn't these big beautiful characters. Like, it was just regular looking people.
Oh, sorry. Okay, hold on. Even more so, he actually appears in The Godfather Part 3 in archival footage, which also got nominated for Best Picture.
Godfather Part 3 got nominated for Best Picture.
If you actually look it up, The Godfather Part 3 got nominated for I think around 7 or 10 Academy Awards.
The Godfather Part 3.
The Godfather Part 3. Here, I'll pull it up right now. Godfather Part 3 was nominated for 7 awards. 7. Did you
Buddy,
hear that right?
Buddy.
7 Academy Awards. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Andy Garcia, score, art direction, cinematography, and film editing. I
Part
don't know.
three.
I don't understand it.
Part three single-handedly ruined.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like he's your nephew, and oh my God, his daughter. Oh, it's so bad.
Was Sophia, right? His daughter's
Sofia Coppola is a phenomenal director,
director.
and
Yes.
that movie just it wasn't for her. It should have been Winona Ryder. That's who I think was originally going to do it. Then Sofia Coppola starred. Just a mishap. Not trying to rag on her because Lost in Translation is a 10 out of 10. Um, okay, so Coppola, Godfather 1 and 2, pretty simple choices I think for him.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
you could argue Apocalypse Now. That's the
Mer-
only other one I consider to be like above the rest for him.
yeah. Apocalypse Now. I'm usually pretty good with long and slow movies, but I probably need to watch Apocalypse Now again because I didn't really enjoy it as much as I think I should have.
You know, he also did The Outsiders,
Yeah, he did The Outsiders.
like a bunch of S.E. Hinton movies or
Yeah,
books.
dude, Apocalypse. I want to talk about Apocalypse Now too, just because it's
Go
here.
for it. It's okay. We only have 2 directors left, and one of them I know you're not going to have anything for.
Who?
George Lucas.
American Graffiti was a classic, sir.
Fine. His only other one. I knew you were going to pick any of the Star Wars movies.
No. Apocalypse Now. Robert Duvall wins a Best Supporting Actor just for saying like 5 lines.
Yeah.
Take that in. He was in the movie probably for 10. He was in a 3.5 hour movie, a little bit less, for 10 minutes, and he won Best Supporting Actor just for saying, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning."
Isn't that nuts?
How crazy is that? The guy wasn't even in the movie.
Like, it's over 3 hours. It had one of the worst productions ever, and it's a masterpiece.
Dude, and Marlon Brando, man, say no more. That's it. Martin Sheen, Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, say no more. It's gonna be a hitter.
I don't even think Brando was nominated for an award for this one. Duvall was. Um, who won best? Oh, Duvall didn't win.
Oh, he
He was
didn't?
nominated.
Oh, he was
He was
nominated. Who
nominated.
won that year?
Actually, Apocalypse Now did not rake in any of the major awards.
That was 79, but it's still regarded as like,
It won best sound and best cinematography.
yeah, it was still regarded as one of the biggest
It
movies.
is. It's one of the. It's an absolute nonsense movie.
Yeah.
Like it's completely crazy that the thing happened and that the way. Oh my God, Martin Sheen's just like he's trying not to lose it. Brando's already gone. Like
Yeah,
it's just it's
Brando was actually crazy in real life at this point.
yeah, it's a completely crazy 3 hour movie, three and a
Yeah,
half hour movie.
and he's only in it for a little bit too. He's only in it at the end.
Who?
Marlon Brando.
Yeah,
When Martin Sheen finally pulls up to wherever he was going.
right.
Yeah, The Outsiders we talked about. That's like the start of all the like famous actors.
A lot of them got their start. You know, Tom Cruise is in that movie.
Tom Cruise, the Dillon
Emilio,
brothers,
Emilio Estevez,
Emilio
Patrick
Estevez,
Swayze,
Leo.
Lowe.
Say no more.
It's just crazy. Like personally, I very much liked I liked The Outsiders, but after that, Coppola kind of I guess like Brian De Palma, more of a downward kind of a downward thing.
What, you
Never
didn't like Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I don't know. It's all objective. Personally, after I guess The Outsiders, I very much fell off of the Coppola train.
Yeah, no, it's true. I only say Bram Stoker's Dracula because it was on TV the other day, being Halloween.
Oh,
So
jokes.
yeah, it was a ride. Let's
Yeah,
just
I
leave
mean,
that there. So
okay,
Francis Ford Coppola, Godfather,
and
Apocalypse
Godfather
Now,
too.
Legend of the Game. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave. I left these two for the last because I think they are arguably the closest out of everybody on this group. Uh, George Lucas and then Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Spielberg, I have a personal like, but Lucas is a very the guy's a different breed. The guy created arguably the biggest franchise in the history of film, almost with Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Spielberg obviously working on Indiana Jones with him.
Hmm.
Um, Lucas, I think, has only directed maybe 5 films, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh,
Five or 7 films at most.
18 credits here. All the Star Wars, American Graffiti, some other one, documentaries. This is a short documentary short. Yeah,
Six. He's
yeah.
he's directed 6 films. The last one he directed was Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. He's directed 4 Star Wars movies,
Hmm.
THX 1138 with oh my God, I think Coppola was involved in this somehow. And American Graffiti. Now I already know you're gonna pick American Graffiti.
I honestly, I
And
don't even remember it too much, so it would have to be a Star Wars for me. That's what he's
oh,
known for. He's the Star Wars guy.
this one I can probably talk about actually the least because there
Yeah.
isn't much to say about the first Star Wars movie. It is without a doubt one of the greatest movies of all time. What it kickstarted like was absurd. The visual effects at the time were unreal. I ended up finding copies of the original cuts. Like I bought them.
Because they changed it, right? They redid the animation for.
Lucas redid the animation.
Yeah.
That's he's very got a mixed legacy, I believe.
Yeah.
But for 1977, the way those sets that I think they filmed in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of it like Lucas went to these countries to film. He went to the Philippines, he went to Turkey, uh, Tunisia. That's what it was, Tunisia, however you pronounce it. Shooting in London, like it was all practical, a lot of it, and matte paintings, especially the Death Star sequence when the ships are flying down. It'll never fly now, but you can clearly see it switch from matte painting to animation
Hmm.
when the ships are going. Luke Skywalker, it's the ultimate hero's journey. Han Solo, the biggest character to come out of that movie. Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, forever a classic. James Earl Jones as Darth Vader is still, I think, my favorite movie villain ever.
Hmm.
Um, and John Williams' score, you just can't go wrong. When Lucas lingers on the twin suns shot and Williams' score just swells up, there's not much to say.
Yeah.
I think Lucas had the easiest pick. It's
Yeah.
like I know you're not the biggest like I guess blockbuster Star Wars guy, but
I go and see them. I
I
I've even seen the new ones. Well, there you go.
personally I love the new ones, but what Lucas created back in 1977, which also we should say he was inspired by Akira Kurosawa. Like a lot of Star Wars was inspired by I believe Seven Samurai,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
I heard that
shout out
as
to
well.
Kurosawa technically for inspiring all of this. Um,
Legend of the Game.
yeah, it just I Star Wars is my favorite. It's my go-to for everything.
Yeah.
Like it's not my favorite movie. Like my favorite one is episode 5. And again, that's probably a whole podcast that Artur and JJ, our senior editor, should definitely be a part of
That's gonna
if
be
we
one
ever.
that you just see me smiling and nodding the whole time.
Oh yeah, cool.
Or
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you guys are
I
nerds.
like
Cool.
lightsabers.
Yeah, like we'll probably do one of those podcasts maybe leading up to the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Um, it's episode 5, but A New Hope honestly was one of the movies that kickstarted my entire love for movies. I was shown 3 movies as a kid,
Hmm.
like when my dad first introduced me to movies. It was X-Men 2 because he burned it on a VHS. It was Star Wars because he has a original trilogy box set, and Jurassic Park, which is what I picked for Spielberg. Spielberg is my all-time favorite director, and Jurassic Park is my all-time favorite movie.
Good transition work there, by the way.
See that? Did you see how that? Did you see that home run of a transition? I just did that. Spielberg.
Somewhere, somewhere, Artur is gonna watch this and he's gonna be very impressed wherever he is.
Spielberg is he is the different breed for me. That guy has done every single movie in every genre. Lincoln, The Color Purple, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Minority Report, Munich, Bridge of Spies, Ready Player One, but none of them for me are like Jurassic Park. That movie has what I call the most groundbreaking visual effects with the dinosaurs. The story is it's sci-fi, it's horror, it's wondrous, like what you get when you watch like the first Harry Potter movie. Like you see them
Yeah.
look at these dinosaurs, and then halfway through the movie, it completely switches into like borderline horror. Like the way Spielberg introduces the T-Rex is probably my favorite movie moment ever. When you just see the water bouncing a little bit, and then he comes out, the roar, and you see this visually stunning Tyrannosaurus Rex. Nothing compares for me. And the thing is like you look at the Jurassic sequels, and even like Spielberg's I don't mind the Jurassic World movies. They're fun, but
It's not the same.
it's not the same, and it'll never be the same. Even Spielberg doesn't like The Lost World, which
Yeah.
he directed. That was the second one, I think. But it was just that first movie, which, if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't going to direct unless in 1993, Spielberg was dead set on doing Schindler's List because he wanted it to be like that was his biggest, most personal movie, right?
There was
But
a thing because I think Kubrick wanted to do. Was it Kubrick? Yeah, I think Kubrick wanted to do uh,
AI.
a World War that as well. But Kubrick wanted to do a World War II movie, and I think he didn't do it because of Schindler's List. He wanted to do a World War II movie about Nazi Germany
Okay.
because of Schindler's List. He didn't, and I think Martin Scorsese was supposed to do Schindler's List, but instead he traded with Spielberg to do another movie that year. So Spielberg ended up
Wow,
getting Schindler's
you're
List.
right. That's unreal. So
Yeah, I think so. I think
So,
that's what happened.
here. So Spielberg offered Schindler's List to Scorsese, but then he was unsure about letting him do it
Hmm.
because he goes, I'd given away a chance to do something for my children and family about the Holocaust. So Spielberg offered Scorsese Cape Fear.
Yes, so they switched like
So
that.
they switched.
Yeah.
And so the story, um, it goes that Spielberg, after completing Hook, wanted to do Schindler's List, and
Mhm.
Universal said, "Okay, as long as you film Jurassic Park first,"
Yeah.
because they both came out in 1993. So Spielberg went out, shot Jurassic Park, did everything with it. Okay, we're done here. I'm gonna go do Schindler's List, and somehow he came up with the best two movies of 1993. One that's a completely personal war drama about the atrocities of World War II and and Nazi Germany, and another one that is a dinosaur sci-fi horror. Of all the directors that we've talked about, Spielberg I think is the most chameleon-like. That guy can jump into any project, any genre, and bang out a terrific film.
Yeah. His reach is so expansive. He
It's
could just
insane.
do anything.
He's he's been my favorite director. Lucas offered him the entire Star Wars prequel trilogy.
Really.
Yeah, he said no. He goes, "Are you kidding? I'm not doing that."
Legend of the game.
He goes, "Do you see those films? You see that fan base? I'm not doing that."
That's
Oh,
smart. That's
and
smart
Indiana
choice.
Jones. I didn't even talk about Indiana Jones, which again, Raiders, Temple of Doom. I'm not a big fan of. Last Crusade, my personal favorite.
You didn't like
Kingdom.
Temple of Doom?
I actually hold Kingdom of the Crystal Skull ahead of it. I'm
Uh,
gonna go
that,
burn at the stake now.
no, that might be fair. I like Temple of Doom because it has the kid from the Goonies.
Yeah, I don't mind the kid. Short Round.
Yeah,
Even Spielberg doesn't like that movie either.
really.
Somebody asked him what his least favorite Indiana Jones movie was, and he goes Temple of Doom.
Did he give any reason?
Let me see. Let's see if I can quickly find it. While I do that, Sam, what's your favorite Spielberg movie?
Uh, Again, like we didn't even talk about Catch Me If You Can.
I A fantastic flick. Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan. That's true.
Nuts. Nuts.
The Terminal.
Hey, like, okay, here.
The
I
Terminal.
wasn't here. He says it right here.
Oh
I
my.
wasn't happy with the second film at all. It's too dark, too subterranean, and much too horrific. I thought it outpoltered Poltergeist. There's not an ounce of my own personal feeling in the Temple of Doom.
Wow.
Wow.
That's strong, man.
It's the movie where he met his wife.
It's a good movie though. I like it.
It's fine.
It's the one that's always on TV, so you know that
That's
there's.
100%.
Yeah.
God, the problem is all of these directors you can dedicate an entire podcast to. Maybe we'll
Oh,
have a sub series one day where we do like the post. Like maybe we'll do a sub series one day where we spotlight like an actor or an actress, a director, writer. We talk about their best work. Oh, hold on. I'm not even done. He produced Gremlins, Back to the Future, Men in Black, and the Transformers series.
yeah. I was gonna say, didn't he have something to do with Gremlins?
That's
Wow.
not. I think so. I think so. And you know what? Okay, Sam. I don't know if you've seen it, but he first off, sorry. Spielberg is also doing West Side Story because why the hell not?
He's also doing another Indiana Jones, no?
He's doing Indy 5. You're right.
Yeah.
If you I want you to watch the HBO did a documentary on him called Spielberg,
Mhm.
and he talks a lot about like how his family influenced a lot of his movies, especially with how he writes and directs kids because he came from a house of divorce,
Mhm.
and it's just listening to this was unreal. You got to watch the
He
movie and
seems
how
like one of the kindest people.
I personally I know everybody is like, oh, like my God, they're like superstars and they're actors and everything. I don't know if working for Talkies has like diluted that for me, but like, yeah, it's obviously cool to meet someone quote unquote famous, but they're people,
I
and
think
it's
there's
why
levels of it though.
I think maybe like if I met
Because
The
we
Rock one
we
day, I'd be
haven't
like,
met
what
like
was
the
that?
Justin Biebers. We haven't met the Leonardo DiCaprios.
I guess not. One day,
It's a different
DiCaprio, if you're
kind.
listening, DiCaprio, if you're listening to this, because I know, maybe you want to come on one day. We're here. Anyway, it's just like you watch these documentaries and it just humanizes them. Like, and
Yeah.
Spielberg was very much like, I worked my ass off to get here, and now I can kind of direct whatever I want. And you can see, like, in the stories he tries to tell, a lot of them in the 80s and 90s were very sci-fi family heavy, but family in the sense where it did focus, like E.T. focuses on this family that is kind of broken, and this alien is bringing them back together. Same with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's a father-son story, right? Close Encounters, even John. You got to check out this documentary.
It's
But
just called Spielberg on HBO.
it's just called Spielberg.
Yeah.
But Jurassic Park, I think brought all of that together. You've got this ragtag group of scientists. You've got Jeff Goldblum being the ultimate Jeff Goldblum,
Always.
and the movie changes a lot from the book. And I've read the book. It's not almost nothing like the movie,
Mhm.
which honestly I think was probably the best part because it's the same thing that happened with Forrest Gump. The book is not like the movie at all. Um,
Did
but
he
you
have a
got this
part
one
in
guy.
Forrest Gump or no?
Which one?
Did he have anything to do with Forrest Gump or no?
No, that was Robert Zemeckis.
Ah,
But Zemeckis and Spielberg worked together on Back to the Future.
of
With
course.
first Jurassic Park, stunning visuals. It's got the best musical score I think from John Williams. Personally, I like it more than Star Wars
Mhm.
because I think it's just the nostalgia factor I have from it. It's
Yeah.
the first movie my dad showed me, which
Yeah.
I guess showing a 3-year-old Jurassic Park, I don't know if that was the best idea, but here
Mhm.
we are. I'm only slightly messed up. Like, I guess it's fine. Um, you got Sam Neill, you got Laura Dern, you got Richard Attenborough. I think that's his name. Um, maybe it's David Attenborough. Let me
I think
see
it's
here.
David.
It is no Richard Attenborough.
Who's
Uh,
David Attenborough?
David Attenborough, I think, is the nature guy. Uh,
Like the
right?
BBC.
That's got. I think I'm diluting it here. Yeah, it's his brother.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
okay, so they are brothers. David Attenborough is the he's a nature historian.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy you always see on those BBC nature documentaries.
Right.
Like Earth. What do we mean by it? That's all him.
Yeah.
He's widely considered a national treasure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Rightly so.
but like the way Spielberg blends animatronics and CGI imagery, which at the time didn't exist, like the things they had to create to
Hmm.
make this movie happen blows my mind.
Jaws.
And I'll honestly I'll link below an article that I wrote on the movie because I think I wrote something for the 25th anniversary of Jurassic Park
Okay.
where I kind of dive into the history and everything that happened and like specific movies that are specific scenes. I it's again, it's a whole article or podcast that I could talk about this movie, but I'll
Yeah.
withhold for now. It's
Yeah.
Jurassic Park. Sam,
And
pick a
that's your
Spielberg.
favorite. That's your favorite Spielberg movie and
That's
movie.
my favorite movie,
Yeah.
bar none. Jurassic Park above the rest.
Because whenever we talk about Spielberg, we do always talk about Jaws.
Jaws, like on my personal Spielberg list, I'd probably put Jaws at like 5 or something.
I
Because
like Jaws.
Jaws is a groundbreaking feature on its own. But personally, for me, like my favorite Spielberg movies are the adventure ones. So Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like I love E.T. because of how wholesome it is, especially when they fly through the air. Like those are my favorite. Personally, my favorite movies are adventure movies. I think like a
Yeah.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, Star Wars Episode 5. Like I just love the thrill of that. And Jurassic Park gives me everything.
Dude, E.T. I want to talk about that. So yours is Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Uh, honestly, we talked about Schindler's List. Has to be up there, but everything the guy does, he touches it, it turns to gold. E.T. Released originally in 1982, but do you remember they had like another release? I think in the year maybe 2000, a theatrical release of it.
the ET re-release.
I think they re-released E.T. when we were kids. We would have been like 3 or 4.
Let me see. Yeah, 20th anniversary. Yeah, 2002.
2002. So we were 5 years old. I
Yeah.
remember my aunt and uncle taking me to see E.T. And this is my first movie going memory. It was at the AMC
Okay.
when there was an AMC. I don't think it's there anymore. Uh, and this is my first movie experience. So you say your first movie experience is watching
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park.
Park with your dad. I watched E.T. with my aunt and uncle at 5 years old. My first time going to the theaters and like seeing how people lined up. I remember it very vividly, seeing how people lined up and then the whole theater, how big the screen was. It was amazing to me. And I
Right.
think Spielberg probably has more of an influence on me than I want to say in terms of my tastes. Than I
It started.
it's one of those weird things where like you don't realize it until you start talking about it on a podcast with a guy named Nick. So I think ET for
Right.
me is the one. Just from that, because it probably started my love obsession and my life of movies.
Right. But that's the thing. Like Spielberg's movies, I think they touch the audience in a different way.
Yeah.
Like because of how far he reaches, and that's why I left him to the end because he hits drama with historical drama with Lincoln and Bridge of Spies in the Post. He hits sci-fi adventures with E.T. and Close Encounters and Jurassic Park. He hits horror with Jurassic Park. He hits
And Jaws.
hard-hitting drama and Jaws, especially Jaws. He hits hard-hitting drama with The Color Purple. Like that's not a movie you would expect Spielberg to make, I guess. And then
List.
Spielberg showed and Schindler's List,
Crazy.
especially Schindler's List. That movie makes me cry every time.
And
But then at the same, which one?
and he does comedy with The Terminal.
That's the thing. Again, like it's
Chameleon.
just
Chameleon.
Spielberg, especially. I think with Ready Player One, I think it was especially funny because a lot of people were looking at this movie like it's just one big pop culture bonanza of nonsense,
Yeah.
and it's like that's Spielberg's entire career.
Yeah.
Like the way he's hit everything. Ready Player One was just him dicking around saying, "I'm just here to have a good time.
It was a lot of
Let's
fun.
just make a story about all of It was a lot of fun,
It was
and
a
I
lot.
and I love that Spielberg can take a step back and just have fun like that. But then at the same time, in the same year, he came out with The Post, which he shot in and finished in 9 months with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. Like
Yeah.
that's just crazy to me. Spielberg is my favorite. He's a complete chameleon, and yeah, go watch Jurassic Park. Go support it. I think. Look, I'll link this too. Maybe there are still tickets available, and I can't believe I decided not to go to this, which I hate myself for. But TIFF is actually hosting a screening of Jurassic Park with the original writer Dave Keop.
The first one?
So if there are who
The first Jurassic Park?
the first Jurassic Park with they're going to do a screening and then a Q&A with the writer Dave Keop. Uh, if there are tickets available, you guys should definitely go to that because this movie should be experienced on the big screen. I've seen it live in concert. Like my girlfriend bought me tickets to it for last year's Christmas. Hi, babe, I love you. But
Does she watch these?
hopefully, I don't know. I think so. It's
I
kind
don't
of
think my girlfriend has. Usually she watches all my stuff. I don't think she's gonna watch these though. She's really busy right now.
this kind of long.
Yeah.
But yeah, she took me to see it live in concert, and it was one of the coolest friggin' experiences like I've ever been in because you have like the whole
The orchestra?
musical, what are they called,
Orchestra?
the
Yeah.
orchestra
Yeah.
playing alongside the movie. And my favorite moment is when they arrive on the island and then they see the dinosaurs, like that 9-minute song called Journey to the Island by John Williams is, I don't even know. It's everything about that movie is perfect for me. Objectively, maybe it's not. Subjectively, it's a 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
But what are we at here, Sam? We had an hour and a half. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'll give you an option. We can talk about the Martin Scorsese Marvel controversy, but given the tangents that we always go on, maybe we can put that to another podcast if
No,
you
no,
want.
no. We're tackling it. We're here.
Okay, cool.
It's
Done.
gonna be the longest one.
Here. We'll keep it we'll keep it somewhat brief, I guess, not really. Here's the deal. Scorsese came out he came out because somebody was asking him about the dominance that Marvel Studios has had over the film industry.
Yeah.
And Scorsese, in short, because I don't have the exact quote, he said, Marvel movies are theme park movies and are not cinema. That's
Yeah.
what he said.
Yeah.
What followed was a slew of responses, both from Marvel's regular directors like James Gunn and Taika Waititi. Jon Favreau responded, which honestly he probably had the best response, which I can get to. A bunch of Marvel fans came after Scorsese, calling him like an old guy just yelling at nothing. While a lot of, let's say, I don't know, film people were saying, no, he's right. They have a too strong of a hold on the industry. Um, and then following that, Francis Ford Coppola was asked about Marvel movies, and he said they're despicable.
That's amazing.
It just kills me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which just sparked a whole new sense of controversy. Scorsese eventually came out and was like, well, it's not like they're not cinema. It's just they're a new art form, but they're theme park movies.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to start with you
Yeah.
because I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I know you very much agree with them.
I will follow Martin Scorsese to the ends of the earth with this one. I think
I know.
maybe he was a little harsh in the beginning by saying that it's not but even then it's a tricky thing, right? Because obviously they're movies, they're real movies, and they do extremely well. But at the same time, when they say that it's not art, it's a different kind of art. You know, it's like contemporary painters
It's
or real
pop culture
it's
blockbusters.
pop art. That's what it is.
They're blockbusters.
It's the Campbell soup can of the cinematic world.
I would say most of them are. And that I think that's like my little problem with what he's saying. And I know he's specific. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he's talking about Marvel and DC." He's not talking about DC. He's
No.
not talking about Joker. He's not talking about the Dark Knight movies. Maybe he's talking about Aquaman. Personally, I love Aquaman,
You know
but
what's
Aquaman kind of falls in that it's a blockbuster. This is what superhero movies are.
Yeah, I think when he refers to them as theme park rides, and when Francis Ford Coppola, that was him, right, who said that they were atrocious,
Coppola called them despicable.
despicable.
I
When they
think
say
Coppola like
when they
go,
say that, they, I think they're kind of right because what they are, for like no other reason, is they're just money grabs. They are 100%.
they're made. Here's my thing. I'll forever be a big Disney fan. I've
Yeah.
loved it since I was a kid. I understand where Disney is coming from because Bob Iger did respond to all of this.
Mhm.
Um, they are movies in a way made by the machine, and
Yeah.
that machine is Kevin Feige. Feige has his vision, especially for these last 23 movies that he's produced. They have led to one goal: Endgame. That is where they led, and money. No, but what I'm saying is Feige had a one vision for where these movies should go. So no matter, let's say, it's why Edgar Wright left Ant-Man, right? Because he said it in an interview. I wanted to make an Ant-Man movie, but Marvel did not want to make an Edgar Wright movie. Marvel wants to make a Marvel movie. And I think there are certain directors that more or less move past that in the sense where Thor Ragnarok, for all the flack it gets, is a Taika Waititi movie. I see you. It's got Taika Waititi's touch, but it's still a Thor movie. Guardians of the Galaxy is a James Gunn movie, and it's probably my favorite Marvel movie next to Endgame because I've been in this franchise for 23 or for
Because you're
23
brainwashed.
movies.
You're brainwashed by the machine,
I'm
man.
brainwashed by the machine. I'm a Disney shill. Sue me. But
Don't actually sue him, please.
Guardians of the Galaxy has James Gunn touch. But there are a lot of these Marvel movies that it is kind of a formula. It's sort of, and it's why I love Joker, and it's why like my favorite superhero movie is Logan, because James Mangold came in and goes, yeah, okay, I'll do Wolverine's final movie, but it's gonna be a Western. Like it's going to be about a man who's struggling to survive with Professor X who can kill the world,
Yeah.
right? Like I see where Scorsese is coming from more than Coppola. Coppola to me does sound angry. He says they're despicable. But Coppola for me hasn't made a good movie since The Outsiders. Sorry, personal opinion. That's the thing. That's why I'm glad you disagree with me on this.
Yeah.
Because
I I don't know. I think
like Scorsese's right.
yeah,
This
I think
is
he's right.
I think he's right in the sense where when he calls them theme park movies, I don't even think that's a
A bad.
bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's why I hate all this controversy because Marvel movies are not for Scorsese. They'll
Yeah.
never be. You're never
Yeah.
going to see Scorsese come in and say, "Hey guys, I'm directing a X-Men movie." They're
Yeah.
not for him. They're not for that audience. The problem is 95% of the overall film audience gravitates to Marvel and superhero movies. But I mean, the thing is you have a movie like Joker, Deadpool, Logan, which all do successful because they
Yeah.
step outside genre constraints.
All the Dark
Marvel,
Knights.
all the Dark Knights, 100%, especially the first one. Do you know the Dark Knight and Iron Man actually came out in the same year?
No, I wouldn't have guessed that.
2008 was the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Nolan dropped the Dark Knight as well.
Yeah. Just to
So,
tell them you call that a superhero movie?
okay, personally, I love the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
didn't
think,
see it, so I can't say anything.
bro, you gotta watch the first Iron
I
Man.
won't watch Marvel movies. My girlfriend's been asking me to watch all the Marvel movies with her. She's like, I want to
I've
watch
been
Marvel.
asking you to watch them.
Nick, you probably couldn't pay me any amount of money to have me watch all of them.
Yeah,
Maybe
see, that's
one
the
of
thing.
them. I might do one of
I
them for a little bit of money, but not all of them.
I sat in the theater for every single Marvel movie. I was there in June 2008 for Iron Man
Hmm.
because I was so excited, and I have been with this. So I guess maybe I'm a little biased in that
That's why
sense.
Disney loves you.
Hi, Disney.
That's why they're always sending you stuff.
Send me more stuff. No, but I mean, the thing is like, well, I don't know, man. I wrote that article about the pros and cons of Disney buying Fox at one point, and I
Yeah.
was like, maybe I'll hit publish. Um,
Mm.
but that's the thing. Never be afraid to publish stuff. Um, Disney has very much like it's not Marvel Comics anymore. Marvel is the biggest brand in entertainment, I would argue. It's
Probably.
Marvel Studios, it's Marvel Television, it's Marvel Comics, it's Marvel at Universal Studios, it's Marvel at Disney's theme parks, it's Marvel in video games. It's they have, and maybe in a sense, well, not in a sense, Disney has very much taken a stronghold of this industry.
Yeah.
Now, I'll position this question to you. Do you think it's because that audience, like it's the audience themselves, or it's Disney kind of telling the audience, hey, look at what we have. We have this. We like this stuff. Look at our sequels,
Hmm.
right? We have these brands that you love. We have Star Wars, we have Pixar and Marvel. Look at all these movies we're making that maybe aren't all original, but ooh, shiny stuff with the
Yeah.
mouse brand.
That's the question, right? Does marketing tell you what you want, or does marketing just show you something that you want, but you already wanted it
That
before
you
and you
want.
just didn't know it about it? I think it's the first thing. I think marketing has a play in what you want and what you want to see. Now, obviously, people want to go see these superheroes, and I know a lot of people who are a little bit, they're like in their 30s and they grew up with the Marvel comics. They know all these characters. And for them, they get really excited to see these movies because it's such a fantastic format, being able to like fly through space and see all these incredible things with the animation that we have today.
Right.
But I can also see where the controversies of calling them not art comes into play, just because you're not you're not doing anything new. It's a formula. You're just pumping them out. You pump out like 10 a year.
That's true. That's the thing. It's not like Kevin Feige has come out and goes, yeah, we're probably gonna make 3 to 4 Marvel movies a year now. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's completely nuts. And I mean, you can argue that like, okay, in those 3 to 4, because Marvel is now fully established, they are going to take more risks, and that's a good thing. That's what they did with Black Panther. That's what they did with Captain Marvel. It's
Mhm.
what they're going to be doing with like another one they got coming out called The Eternals, which will have their well, finally, I guess, their first gay superhero. Right? They can take those risks now, but only because they have established this brand that can't fail. At least not yet.
Yeah.
Even Thor: The Dark World, which is usually hailed as their worst movie, made $600 million. That wouldn't have made $600 million if it was a DC movie.
Yeah.
And I think
It's a
at least out of everybody, I think DC gets a lot of the uh, short end of the stick when it comes, because everybody's like, "Oh, Marvel's better, Marvel's whatever." Shout out to DC because they're doing a lot of different stuff with Joker, with Birds of Prey, with the Batman. Like
yeah.
they're
Those
taking
are
a lot of
more.
risks, and so it's one of those things where Marvel will take more risk. And I think the biggest problem is Disney was initially just scared,
Hmm.
because what you have is between 2010 and 2014, well, kinda. Disney put out a lot of original movies in a short time span. With Tron Legacy is a sequel, but it's still an original.
Yeah.
Um, you got John Carter, you got The Finest Hours, The Lone Ranger, and they all flopped. Really, none of them picked up like Marvel did. So when people are like Disney never makes an original movie, they did, and audiences didn't show up.
Yeah.
And oh, and Tomorrowland, which I will defend. But you can't really fight Disney in that sense, because at the end of the day, they are a business. And so, sure, you can argue that they're never going to make a Scorsese like movie, which is why you have a guy like Scorsese or a company like A24. Shout out for The Lighthouse, Waves, Moonlight.
Midsummer.
Like, those are the movies that audiences say they want, and yet they don't show up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
They
that's a good.
show up to Avengers Endgame. It
Mhm.
makes $2.7 billion
Bill.
more. And then people complain that, wow, why aren't we getting these kinds of movies? Is it on the audience in that sense that they don't show up to a movie like Waves. Well, Waves isn't out yet. Let me use a better one. If you want original movies, show up to The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is unreal. Robert Eggers is a fantastic director,
I need
and
to
he's
go see.
got a huge career ahead of him.
Yeah.
Show up to The Lighthouse. Get that movie to make a sizable profit for A24, and then don't complain. When and if you don't show up, then you can't complain when Disney and Warner Brothers and Universal are pumping out Minion sequels
Mhm.
that you know are going to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's why I've stayed away from reporting on this controversy, because I don't defend Disney a lot. For all I love them, they have always made questionable decisions in a certain sense. But you can't harp on Disney for making these movies when you know they're going to make money, because that's all this is. It's a business. And you have these companies like A24 that are preserving that kind of side of cinema, like
Yeah.
Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Go support Adam Sandler's Uncut Gems.
Is that A24?
That's A24. Go
A24 for me
support
has always been like very specialized towards horror, especially the visceral, like graphic horror.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
they've diversified in such. Look, Midsummer. Midsummer did okay. Okay. Keep showing up for these movies. Go see more movies if you can. And if you can't, that's why you have companies like Netflix. But then you have directors calling out Netflix. And it's just this vicious cycle that always ends with Disney up here and everybody else down here. It's a vicious cycle.
It's the
It
problem with
always ends up this way.
it's the problem with the monetization of art, right? Because like when something becomes very widely acclaimed and
Success.
everyone wants a piece of it, is it really art or is it just something that is popular? You'll never know.
I think it's both in a sense.
Yeah,
Like, I guess you can't call Marvel movies art like you can call Scorsese silence art,
that's
but they're
art.
not intended to be that.
Yeah.
When I go into a Marvel movie, especially a Marvel Studios movie, I know I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna have a great time with my buddies. Like, we're gonna enjoy ourselves, probably gonna laugh, maybe be like, oh my God. Like, I know they're gonna get an emotion out of me. But I didn't go into, I don't know, Ant-Man the same way I went into Logan.
Mhm.
But Logan has my favorite superhero character, and I already knew they were going to do something different with him because it's a Western, like neo-Western movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the same expectations that I go into a Scorsese movie that I do into and Robert Eggers movie like the Lighthouse that I do for Taika Waititi in Thor Ragnarok. I'm going for a good time. Did I enjoy myself? Yes, I did. Did The Lighthouse make me think? Yes, it did. They all got the intended reactions out of me,
Hmm.
but none of them are the same. And Scorsese is right in a sense when they are theme park movies, because I can go into a Marvel movie and get the same feeling that I get from Disney World.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. I'm with everybody. I'm with my family. I'm with my friends. I'm laughing. I feel this happy, elated feeling. Especially, and I mean, you can call Endgame a different breed because Endgame kind of brings it all together and you laugh and you cry and you do all this stuff because you're 23 movies into this franchise.
Hmm.
The Lighthouse is a different breed. A24's Waves is a different breed. PSA, go support Waves. It's phenomenal. Okay? But don't complain when some of these movies aren't getting made because you're not showing up.
Yeah.
My 2 cents.
I think
But
it is important. You picked up on something that was really important, that you have to kind of manage your expectations going into it, because not everything is going to be silence. Not everything is going to be The Irishman,
like
which draws its own crowd for its own reasons. But I think you're very right. When you go to see a Marvel movie, you're going to see a Marvel movie. You're not going to go
I'm
see,
not I'm not I'm not looking to be in deep thought. You
yeah,
know
you're
where I'm
not
in
seeing
deep thought?
like,
With Logan. Logan put me there. Joker put me there because those two movies intended that. They wanted that kind of reaction.
I think that's really the main point for, and I can't speak on behalf of them because I don't know them. I probably never will know them. But when
Hold
Scorsese,
out. Hold
pardon,
out hope. Hold out hope.
always do. When Scorsese says that it's not art, I think what he's trying to explain to people is that it doesn't elicit this range of emotions that other movies can do. And whether he's right or wrong,
It's
it's not.
subjective.
It's not up to me to decide. But I think that's what he's saying when he's saying it's not art, because inherently, I don't think they can, and I know this is probably the wrong opinion to have. I don't think the Marvel movies, just because they have the tag Marvel on them, can convey or draw out those emotions from people. Now, I know that they can make you excited and happy, and it's explosions and colors and quick cuts and flashes,
There
but
are there are moments that I think can do that. I just don't think,
yeah,
let's say, there's enough of them. Like, okay,
maybe.
we're in November now. Let's
Yeah.
say spoilers for Endgame. When Iron Man died, that hit me
Iron Man
personally.
died?
Iron Man dies in Endgame. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I know. You're the one who's not watching. All right?
That's my favorite character!
Get your butt back here. Okay, when Iron Man died, it was
But
in
Tony
the sense.
Stark's okay.
No, no, they're both dead, bro.
They're both dead?
They're the same guy. Why are you doing this to me, Sam? What are you doing? What are you doing, man? But okay, think of it this way: when Iron Man dies in Endgame, not afraid to say, made me shed a tear, but it was a little bit in the same way that when Logan dies in Logan, it was kind of the same thing where for Logan, I'm 17 years into this relationship with this character.
Mm-hmm.
X-Men was the first superhero movie I saw. Wolverine is my favorite character. So when Mangold kills him, it's like, wow, this is the end of an era. And that's the same thing I got from Iron Man dying. But it's not the same tear that, let's say, I shed when I watch Silence and Andrew Garfield's priest apostatizes. It's just a different emotion. I'm not saying it's not art. It's just it's all subjective and it's all different. And the real problem here is not Marvel movies in the sense it's Disney's stronghold on this industry,
Yeah.
especially with the Fox purchase, because there's a slew of problems that come with that now for the general audience. And I think people are just too focused on the fact that Marvel's going to pump out 3 movies next year.
Yeah.
Big friggin' whoop. They're going to make 3. Go support other movies. You do not have to watch those movies if you do not want to.
Yeah.
Go support DC. Go support A24. Go support Annapurna, Bleecker Street. Anybody that makes smaller movies. If you don't show up, studios, cinemas, they won't show them.
Mm.
In it, as much as people like to say Disney and Warner Brothers and Universal, especially Disney, hold the power, it's you who spends the money.
Yeah. It's
So
the
I'm gonna
court
go
of
see.
public opinion.
It's like I'm gonna go see Frozen 2. I'm gonna go see The Rise of Skywalker, but I'm also gonna go see Waves. I'm also gonna go support here. Look, look really quick. What's coming out at the end of this year?
What is
2019.
Wave, by the way?
Waves. Waves is a family drama about a teen wrestler, um, and it's oh my god, like it's heartbreaking. I won't actually tell you what happens, but it's this.
How do you know what happened?
Pardon?
How do you know what happens if you didn't see
No,
it?
I've seen the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's coming out in theaters later,
Oh, okay.
right? But it's just this heartbreaking portrayal of this family and this like downward spiral and how like you can rise up from it. Oh, here, Jojo Rabbit by Taika Waititi. Sam, shouldn't people see that one?
Yeah. I'd say go see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'd say go see it.
So go see Motherless Brooklyn by Edward Norton, a smaller crime feature. Go see Marriage Story, the one that's going to be on Netflix. Go see Last Christmas. Go see Honey Boy by Alma Harrell and Shia LaBeouf. Go support these smaller features, because if you don't, then Disney will keep pumping out these Marvel sequels. And especially now, they're going to start taking more risks, but it relies on the audience.
Yeah.
If audiences are not going to show up, okay, perfect example. Marvel has had 2 failures in their life in this Marvel Cinematic Universe lifespan. Both of them on TV. One of them being Iron Fist, just poor writing, poor everything. That was on Netflix, and the other one is The Inhumans. The Inhumans was a completely butchered attempt to bring those characters to the screen. Nobody watched, got poor reviews. Marvel canned them. They're going to reboot them again. Okay? Studios will eventually listen if you tell them. Don't show up if you're that pissed off. Show Scorsese that you're only going to show up to his movies. The problem I have is Scorsese is super close with Spielberg and and Lucas, and both of them have made these kinds of movies.
It's true.
Like, so I don't know. My entire rant is all just film is subjective. Go support what you want. Watch all the movies you want or don't. It doesn't matter. Movies are still going to get made. And
Yeah.
Disney right now is just the king of the mountain. For a while, they were at the bottom of the totem pole, especially in the mid 70s and 80s. They were down here. Right now, it's just they're up here because this is what audiences are gravitating towards. And complain all you want, but Joker just made $900 million. Okay? And it's got nothing like a Marvel movie, which proves that audiences will show up for different stuff. But that has to continue. You have to keep showing up because studios rely on you. Sam, sorry for ranting.
No, I think that's pretty much what we wanted to talk about for today. We talked about
Tired now.
we talked about the movie Brett. Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't taken a drink of water this whole time.
I forgot to get some.
It's okay. We're gonna end it off now. So we talked about the film brats. We talked about this controversy, so-called controversy, between Marvel and the movie brats, I guess.
Oh, and go support women filmmakers and people of color who are making films. Because you have these movies. I'm sorry, just another quick rant. Like, go support these films. If you want to see more, it's very easy. These films are being made. Once again, a movie like Waves. Go support Charlie's Angels, the new one. Apparently, it's great. Okay? Go support Last Christmas. Go support these movies with women filmmakers, Little Women, and people of color, because we had this one movie that premiered this year called Fast Color, and it flopped, and it's fantastic. Don't let those movies flop. You have the power. Go watch these movies. Studios will put them in more cinemas because they know you want to watch. It's an easy process. Okay, now you can close it off.
All right, I've been Sam, and that's been Nick with all of his opinions. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, our tour's feeling a little better, and we'll figure out the topic then.
Oh my God. Later, everybody.
See you guys.